Got the pen and the paper in your hand. Got the story going that you wanted to expand. We'll help you on your journey. Let us lend you a hand. Join the show. So let's write the book TV show. Grab your pen and paper and we're gonna let it flow. Talking about write the book TV. Join the show.
Welcome to Write the Book TV show. I'm your host, Kimberly LeBou. Each week we show up here to talk about all things writing and publishing. And today we have with us two very special guests. They are authors from the anthology, The Mom in Me, Practical Stories and Advice from Moms Who Have Survived Parenting. We're here today to talk to Tamlin Franklin and Monica Thomas. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so happy that you guys have agreed to come and join me today. Not an easy conversation that we're going to have, but my hope for today is that we can educate and talk about the journey of grief, because both of you wrote in The Mom in Me, and when you did, you both had children that were here with us. And it's like both of you have something in common that I really wish you didn't have in common, but you both lost your sons at the age of 34. Recently, Tamlin just 10 months ago, Monica 2 years, coming up on 2 years ago. And so we're just going to talk about your journeys as parents and then what this has been like for you. And so it's my hope that our viewers will be able to gain something and learn something about the journey of grief, because unfortunately, the journey that you're on right now has become even more so in recent years for a lot of moms. And even though we wish it wasn't true, we know it is. And so when I thought about how I wanted to start this conversation today, I was just at a loss, right? Because how do you really begin the conversation? But then I thought the right way to do it would be for you to share with our viewing audience about your amazing sons, right? And so I'm going to start with you, Monica, and I want you to tell us so Delonte LeBou and then Brian Scott. And so I want you to start by telling us about your beautiful son, Delonte, who we affectionately call Tay.
Tay.
Yes.
Yes. My son, who we all call Tay, was a brilliant guy, very talented. The two of us were close, very close. But he was just an amazing young man, very respectful. Those who came in contact with him truly loved him. Older people as well. People always came back to me and said, for him to be young, he's so respectable, he's so nice. But it just in general, he was a lover of art. He loved music. He loved cars. He recently wrote a book, which I'm so proud of. But just to me, just everything. Anything that I asked him to do, he was there.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I know kind of firsthand because Tay is my nephew. It's my nephew. And so just, what you said about him, always just so loving. I always loved the way that he called me Aunt Kim, hey, Aunt Kim. And so just to hear you talk about those memories of him is just really, it just warms my heart too. And we'll talk a little bit about his book that was published posthumously as well. And so Tamlin, tell us about your Brian.
Well, Brian was a gem, and Brian was very witty and very creative as well. Brian established himself as a Mr. I Make Clothes when he was in college. He studied family studies at Morgan State University, and when he found that he had a love for sewing, he started making dresses. He could make a dress with just looking at a person, not having a pattern, and being able to fit and form the dress to the person without ever seeing a pattern. He made his own patterns.
That's talent.
Yes. And he not only sold for other people, he sold for his family, he sold for me, he sold for his children, he sold for their mom. He made dresses whenever they went out. He made outfits for them. I remember once on Riley's birthday, that's my granddaughter, he was making her outfit to wear to her party because she had to make a grand entrance for her 5th birthday. And right minutes before the party, Brian was sewing, and he had a knack for it. And then after that, he established himself as that hair guy. He started doing hair for all the models who wore his clothes in fashion shows. He took a liking to styling their hair, and eventually started doing hair and became known in Maryland, DC, and Virginia and elsewhere as that hair guy. And he would travel to different places to do the hair of celebrities and and local celebrities as well. And then before his passing, he had taken a liking to interior decorating, and he started decorating, and people would hire him to do that. He was just so creative, and whatever he set his mind to do, he did it, and he didn't ask for permission. And once he decided on something, he established himself as the expert in that arena. And people bought it, and he would always tell people, I'm a brand.
I'm a brand. I love that.
And I'm expensive.
And I'm expensive. Yes.
So I love that about him. And I just love that he was so witty. He was funny. He could dance, and he would just light up a room and have everyone laughing. And he just always brought the humor. And he's just a gentle soul. And I often call him my gentle giant, because he was 6'4" and a huge guy, but very gentle, generous, and kind. So those are things about his personality that are just missed enormously.
I bet. And I've seen some of the videos and stuff that you posted where he would just have you laughing, you and your sister in stitches.
All the time.
All the time. And so, both of your sons' deaths were unexpected, news that you didn't even see coming. And so what have you done since their passing to try to keep their memory alive? Monica.
Well, the first year that he passed for his birthday, it just got his friends together, and some of us, friends and family, and went to his favorite restaurant. Think about the things that he loved to do, and just try to be a part of that, and bring some of his friends and family, and just to do that. I put pictures up all around so that I feel, for me personally, that he's around me. He's surrounded with me. I'm surrounded by him. And
had balloon release. Did you do a balloon release?
Yeah, I'm probably going to do a dove release this year.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
And so then you mentioned one of the other things that we were able to work on was Tay's book. Right? Because years ago, Tay wrote a book, urban fiction, and he said, Kim, I want you to read this book. And I read it, and I thought he was a brilliant writer, and I told him so. But all those years, he never published the book. And so when he passed, we were able to get the handwritten, small, tiny writing on paper, written in pencil, his novel. And so it was my honor and our company's honor to be able to publish him posthumously. And so this book just released. And so how has that helped you, or has that brought you any sense of comfort being able to do that?
It has helped me tremendously. For so long, he has always talked about, oh, Kim has my book. Oh, Kim has it. She's going to write it. She's going to do it. And he would be so proud and so happy, but I am happy. It's just something that I have from, because I talk about the talent that he had, but seeing it on paper and in book form and on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I say to him all the time because I talk still to him and I say, wow, how proud I am to have that book and how beautiful it was written and how thankful that I am to you for not changing the language, for letting it be just him.
Yeah.
You know, so that has helped me tremendously.
Yeah.
Tremendously.
Wow.
I love just seeing his book besides mine's
Mm-hmm.
with both authors.
Yeah.
You know, who would ever thought that mom and son
Mm-hmm.
would end up doing that? So, you know, that's a big, big, big thing for me.
Awesome. Yeah, it was my joy and my pleasure to be able to do that and to give you something to hold on to. And so, Tamlin, you've done some things since Brian's passing in his honor. Podcasts, you've done some gatherings and have walk-ins. Talk about some of the things that you've been able to do since then to help to keep the memory of Brian alive.
Well, thank you so much for asking that. That's a great question. What you mentioned the podcast.
Yeah.
So back in November, I believe it was, when I started the Grieve, Heal, and Live podcast, because I wanted a way for me to express what I'm feeling, not what other people think I should be feeling. And I wanted to share my thoughts from my vantage point and allow other people to peer in on what that looks like for the mother.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to open it up to other people that were close to Brian and other people who have lost loved ones, to give them an opportunity to share their take on grief and healing and living, because it's going to look different for each person. And I wanted a platform not only for other people, but mostly for myself, so that I can, in one way, document this journey, because you forget things. And when you don't write things down, and if you don't have a record of a photo or something, you oftentimes forget what happened or what you were feeling at that time. So the podcast is really in a sort of a journal, and if you will, on the journey of healing and grieving and continuing to live. And at the end of each episode, I ask myself, or ask the guest, what does grieving, healing, and living look like? And the answers change from week to week.
Wow.
And it's a good way for me to feel myself healing through the process. And then this year was the first, March 11th was Brian's birthday. It was the first birthday without him. So we had decided to have a family photo shoot, just a fun shoot, because he loved all things fashion. So we decided to have my grandchildren, my daughter, and just some close friends and family members to get together and just do something fun in his honor. And then this year, on April 29th, 2023, we're having a 5K faith walk. Now, if a person can't walk, if they can walk 10 steps, that'll be fine. It's a walk for hope and healing for the bereaved.
Wow.
And for me, I will be walking for healing and hope for myself and for my family from the loss of Brian. So I hope other people will join us on this walk. It'll be local, but it's also a virtual walk.
Oh.
So if you can't walk with us, you can walk virtually from anywhere in the United States.
Wow.
And we're also asking for donations for Women in Transition, which is an organization that I'm very fond of, because they help young ladies who are aging out of the foster care system. And when young ladies turn 18, they're just dropped from the system. And they're basically on their own, and they have no resources, but this organization helps them. And I'm asking each person who walks to donate a minimum of $5 to the organization as a gift to the organization to help those young ladies, because there will be 5 of them aging out this year. So that's what it's a dual purpose walk.
That's so awesome.
That is really
I love
awesome.
that. I love
Yes.
that. And going back to your podcast, it's like I love the name of the podcast, Grieve, Heal, Live, right? And that's just so good. And I've listened to some of the episodes, and I really think that it's a great way for you to honor Brian. Not only that, it's so necessary
Yeah.
because so many people are in that grieving process and may get stuck there, right? And so the fact that you say it looks different for everybody is so true. Both of you are dear to me. You're my sister, and then you're my bonus sister, right? I call you bonus sister. We spent so much time together, and both of you are so just near and dear to me. And so watching you both, walk through this journey is completely, like you said, it's different for everyone. It's different for everyone. But Tamlin,
Yes.
we know you as the etiquette lady.
True. I cannot shake that
For
title.
years, you cannot shake the title no matter how hard you try. But the etiquette lady, and I know you and I have had some conversations in the past, even before this happened, about grief and how people deal with it and things that should and shouldn't be said. And so I just want to touch a little bit on that because, like I said at the beginning, I wanted this to be a teachable moment, right, with both of you here and experiencing this. What are some things that people need to know, things that you wish people knew who are trying to support people who are grieving, maybe some do's and don'ts, wherever you want to start with that. But I'll start with you, Tamlin, but I also want to hear from you as well, Monica, on things that you think people need to know about this process.
One thing that I wish people knew is that when a person wants to share, like say for instance, you came up to me and said, Tam, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I say, thank you so much. But sometimes a person can start going into their own story of loss and don't give the person that they asked, how are they doing? They don't give them an opportunity to say how they're doing before they delve into their own story of loss. And then they also say, I know how you feel. And that's something that, even though Monica and I have something in common, I don't know how she feels.
Right.
I have no idea how she feels. While we both lost a son, and Brian was my firstborn, her son, he was her only child.
So
I
true.
don't know how she feels. I know how I feel. But when a person says, I know how you feel, I lost my child too, or I just lost my mother, or I just lost my grandmother. People will go into their losses, but they don't know how you feel. So that's one thing I wish people would not say to someone, because
And there's no comparison.
you can't compare, because all the experiences, the childhood that you had with him, his childhood, his birth, everything about his life is special and unique. Everything about my son and our relationship is unique. No other person has those experiences. So you can never say to another person, I know how you feel, because you don't.
That is so good.
You don't know how they feel.
Yeah.
Even though you may share a similar loss, you just don't know. And I'll leave that one alone.
Okay. What about you, Monica? What is something that you wish people knew or understood about the grieving process?
One of the things that I know and I've learned, and I even watched some of the things that Tamara has said, and she has been right on. So often people come to me and say, it's going to be okay, it's going to get better. And then they also expect me to move to a place, even after now that it's going on 2 years, to a place where I should be better than where I was before when it happened. And also, grief, there's no time limit on grief.
Right.
I feel like sometimes the people around me, I know they love me and I know they want what's best. But for them, it's more self-motivated than me.
Right.
the one who's going through it, because it's based on what they want me to be, or what they feel I should be, or in a place that I should be. And that's not true. I mean, I can't.
Yeah.
My son was like my only son.
Yeah.
So the level of the relationship that we had and the way that I feel, there isn't a time limit on it. I cry every day.
Wow.
And if I cry every day, it's okay to cry every day. It's not because it's been 11 months, a year, that I should be further along.
Right.
Or why are you still feeling that way? Or why are you crying? Or this is just where I am. And oftentimes I don't talk because I don't want to be judged.
Oh, wow.
I don't want someone to look at me and to hear the things that I say or what I feel and judge me based on where I am.
Wow.
So for those who love me, those who are around me, love me, hug me,
Yeah.
and that's it. You
Wow.
know? And it's okay, and it's enough. It's not where you have to feel like, what do I have to say? You don't have to say anything. Really. Not for me. You can just come. If you want to give me a hug, you don't have to say anything, because those that I know that love me, I know.
Right. Right. Wow. That's good.
Can I say something else?
Absolutely.
I want to say, when people don't know what to say,
Mm-hmm.
they can just say, I'm sending you light and love.
Yes.
Yeah.
They
That's
don't have
it.
to make up
That's
anything
it.
else.
That's
Yeah.
it.
They don't have to tell you your child is in a better place.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Lord knew who he
Right.
was taking.
Right.
Hey,
You don't wanna hear that.
I
Don't
don't.
have to. Right.
And you don't have to go into this long speech about what you think I want to hear.
Right.
Right.
Just send me light
Yes.
and love.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and silently pray. You don't even have to tell me you're praying, because I can feel the prayers.
Yes.
And I can feel when people are genuine.
Yes. Yes.
So you don't have to say it. Just say, I'm sending you light and love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And when people lose a loved one, that's the best thing you can do,
Yeah.
is send them light and love. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to tell them what they should feel or what they shouldn't feel, or how long they should grieve and how long
Yeah.
they should cry or don't cry. What that kills me too. Don't cry. Why not?
Yeah.
Wow.
Why not? I'm hurting. That's the way you release the
That's
pressure.
my pain. That's right.
That's the way I release the pressure.
Wow.
I open that valve and then the tears flow, right?
Yeah.
If I keep it closed, the pressure will
It's the
build.
nerves. Yeah.
And what happens to a pipe that is filled and you don't have a relief?
Yeah. That's so true.
It's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I
a
know
ticking
there are
time
some,
bomb.
I know that there are like other trigger things that people say. If there's anything else come to mind in that category of, just don't say that. Anything else you can think of?
It'll be in the next book. How about that?
Maybe that's it.
I love that.
That's good, because I was going to ask, are you going to continue your writing journey?
Yes.
Yeah, and so I have seen you, especially Tim, and like grief overtake you in a second.
Yeah.
You know, and is that something that you've experienced as well? Like just you don't know when it's coming,
Right.
right? And if I can share the story about us traveling, is
Sure.
that okay?
Mhm.
Because Taylor and I travel a lot together, and really, I was so honored to be able to travel with you after this happened. And to be able to kind of support you in that way. I almost felt like I was taking care of Tamlin. I want to make sure Tamlin's okay. And but we were traveling, and I think it was when we were going to Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and we went through the airport and everything, and we were just getting ready to go up to the counter to show our passports, and Tam loses it, and I am like, oh my gosh, they're gonna think I'm taking her against her will. All these things are like going through my mind, and she's like crying, hard crying. And she's just like, I'm sorry, I can't help it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Because when you're traveling together, they want you to show your passports together. So they call you both up at the same time. And so they called us up there, and Tam's just, she's trying to like hold it together. And then the guy, he just takes our passports, and I took hers and gave it to him, and and we just went on through. And then when we got to the other side, you were okay. And for me, that was just like, wow, to see that it could hit you that fast, because we were walking through the airport and everything was fine. And we had traveled before when we went to Punta Cana together, like just months before. And so we'd been through that process, and Tam carries her passport and a picture of Brian in there. And so for me, that was just so eye-opening to see you go from being okay, in my eyes, to just not okay like that. And so talk about how that plays out, like going from one being okay to not okay so quickly.
Well, I can say that happens almost on a daily basis.
Wow.
I could be fine, busy doing something, and someone can send me a text message unrelated to anything, or hey, I'm thinking about you, and I'm just bawling.
Wow.
And I have to excuse myself, go to the restroom, get my composure before I can return to whatever the task that I was in the middle of. Or I can be scrolling through my phone, and the memories come up on your phone, and it'll be a picture of me and Brian or us in some kind of activity or family event or something. And the emotions that overtake you, you just can't explain it. You don't plan on it. You don't want to feel anything at that moment, because like even now, I'm thinking I don't want to start crying and have lashes falling off.
But I told you there was room for that here. There was room for that here. No judgment.
But seriously, you just don't know when it's going to come. It can overtake you. A song can come on the radio. Like if I hear Kirk Franklin songs, specific ones, they just stir up emotions, and the tears just start flowing. And you don't have rhyme or reason for when it happens. It could be something totally unrelated, and you'll be overtaken with grief at that moment.
The same for you.
Same for me. When I can just be walking into the supermarket, I can walk into the store, I can drive in here, anywhere. Anything that comes on the radio, I walk past and I'll tell you, I love Pop-Tarts. I see that in the market and I'll say, wow. I mean, different things, songs on the radio. When I'm at an event, and especially if we're doing a catering a wedding event, and a mother and a son, it's like dancing with their son. I'll never have that. I'll never have that. I was in another event. Someone had said to me, Monica, I don't know why they said this, but they came to me and said, when I was playing with the little girl, they said, oh, you'll never have grandchildren. I thought that was so heartless. It was. And I said, no, I won't. And I went in the bathroom and cried, because I won't. Those are little things that I just think about. If, you get a new car or anything, because we love cars. I'm like, tell you would love this. So it just goes on every second of the day, anything, which is just like you said, I may be fine now, next minute, it's gone.
Wow.
And like Tamara said, you sometimes you don't want that to happen. I'm in the market. And I'm like, God, please, no, please. And I talk myself through it. And I even say, Tay, not now. Not now. But it just goes that way. So part of the thing, the reason why I know that it's okay, even though we don't want it to be okay, it's the love that we have. Oftentimes people ask me, how do you handle it? How do you hold it together? I look at Tamara and I'm like, wow, she's doing great things. You do great things. And I look at you as an inspiration, saying, how do I do that? How do I get to that point? Because on my end, people look and say, how do you hold it together? And I know because of the love that I had for him, I don't feel there wasn't anything that wasn't said, because that's how close we are. When you have someone in your life, and you're a loved one in your life, and you do things where if you don't have that sense of guilt, like, oh, I left anything out. So there was nothing left, but I wonder, how do you go to the next stage and just do things? You're doing phenomenal things.
Thank you.
And I love that. And I'd like to get to that point, and I know that I will. It's just a work in process, I guess, for me. So,
yeah. Last question, but what has been most helpful to you in this season of loss? What's helpful?
I would say I think back on all of the memories. I
Mm-hmm.
think about the love that he gave. I think about the words that he has given me. I look back at the book that he has written,
Yeah.
and the people that surround me, the true circle of people
Mhm.
that surround me, has been really, really helpful.
Yeah.
You know,
Good.
yeah.
Good. What about you, Tam?
I believe my faith has been most helpful because while I know that being a spiritual being does not mean that you're physically in the church to have spirit move through you. And my son, he loved God and he was a spiritual person.
Okay.
I have faith, and my faith is solid, whether I show up every day or every week for every service or not. My faith is solid, and I believe that my faith what has been the most helpful through this journey, because I know God's word, and I know where death falls in His word, and I know that we are transformed, and Brian has transitioned.
Yeah.
So he's just sleeping with the Lord.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Wow. So see, you all have done a tremendous job. So pleased that I was able to bring you here and talk about this journey of grief. And I know that our viewers have gleaned some great advice from you all today, and maybe it'll be helpful when they are trying to support their loved ones or family and friends that have experienced loss. And so this has been so good. And so I'll just ask, is there anything that you want to share that you haven't already shared before we wrap up?
Well, I can share that grief is love, as Monica said earlier. Healing takes time, and we only have one life to live. So we have to aim to live our one life with joy, even after loss.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
What she said.
What she said. Yeah, that was a beautiful way to wrap it up, right? Wow, this has been so great, and I am just honored that both of you came in to share this incredible segment, and I know it's going to be helpful to our viewers. So thank you so much.
We
for
thank
being
you.
here.
My pleasure.
For having us. So
You're
thank
welcome. And thank you so much to our viewing audience for sharing with us on another episode of Write the Book TV. If you want to be on the show, or you know someone who is thinking about writing a book, or you want to write a book, make sure you head over to www.writethebooktv.com. If you have a question about writing or publishing, you can ask it there too, and maybe we'll answer your question on one of our upcoming segments. We'll see you next week.
So